All right, so this story caught my eye today. So Jason Aldean, country music star, had his video pulled by Country Music Television for offensive content, although they didn't say why they pulled it, but presumably. The video released in May. See, they got that wrong, actually. The New York Times is wrong. This is disinformation. The song...
Working for the Kremlin.
They're working for the Kremlin. The song was released in May.
Told you I do not like the country music.
That's why this blew up now, because they just dropped the video on Friday, I think. It was so the video released Friday. I'm gonna put a little red line through that. Was shot in front of the Maury County Courthouse in Columbia, Tennessee, a site known for the 1927 mob lynching of Henry Coate, an 18-year-old black man, and is interspersed with violent news footage, including protests. Just jumping ahead, we don't need to describe the video, we'll talk about it. State Representative Justin Jones of Tennessee, a Democrat, condemned the song on Twitter, describing it as a heinous song calling for racist violence that promoted a shameful vision of gun extremism and vigilantism. On Tuesday, CMT confirmed by email that it stopped airing the video on Monday, but did not offer any explanation. And so he sent out a tweet. Do you have a screenshot of that, or should I show it from here?
Yeah, just show it from there. It's right there.
In the past 24 hours, I've been accused of releasing a pro-lynching song, a song that's been out since May. And I was subject to the comparison that I was not too pleased with the nationwide BLM protests. These references are not only meritless, but dangerous. There is not a single lyric in the song that references race or points to it. We'll get into that. And there isn't a single video clip that isn't real news footage. And while I can try and respect others to have their own interpretation of a song with music, this one goes too far. As so many pointed out, okay, I'm not going to play this one for last. He was present at that shooting in Vegas. I was present at Route 91, where so many lost their lives, and our community recently suffered another heartbreaking tragedy. No one, including me, wants to continue to see senseless headlines or families ripped apart. Try that in a small town for me refers to the feeling of a community that I had growing up, where we took care of our neighbors regardless of differences of background or belief.
Yeah, by threatening to execute anyone who crosses you somehow, right? Yeah, I mean, it is about community.
Can I go back now? Because they were now that we're out of the mass shooting part of
it. Yeah, exactly.
Because they were our neighbors, and that was above any differences. Yeah, no, it was very, it was a multicultural wonderland there in the depths of Iowa and places like that. My political views have never been something I've hidden from, and I know that a lot of us in this country don't agree on how we get back to a sense of normalcy, where we go at least a day without a headline that keeps us up at night. But the desire for it too, that's what this song is about. Okay, so we do have people who have tweeted out, and what's interesting is they're not tweeting about the video, which is actually what got the backlash, because the New York Times misreported this. He's right, the song's been out since May. I never even heard of it. Unless you're into country music, you probably didn't. The video is what caused the backlash, and as anyone who watches our show on the regular knows, we're certainly not knee-jerk cultural leftists, right? Very often we take the other side on these issues. I didn't draw a conclusion. I watched the video for myself. Yeah, that video has a lot of coded messaging in it. So what do we want to take a look at? The tweets?
Well, we'll just take a look at a few of these screenshots from the video. So, the video basically shows a lot of photos from the BLM protests of 2020. He calls these Antifa protests as well. It's not exactly clear where all these images are sourced from. He's very careful in the video not to feature black protesters, which to me suggests a guilty conscience, because it means that he made the deliberate choice not to feature black protesters at Black Lives Matter events, because he probably knew that at some point he was going to get shit for this video. right? So here's another screenshot from the video.
Right, which this one's very interesting to me. The reason I selected this is, remember, when people are making a movie, this is a lot, making a video or a movie or anything like this. These people are professionals. There's a lot of money on the line. You got a lot of people, a lot of eyes on it, production designers and everything. This image is not an accident. She's holding that phone as a kind of signifier of cultural status and cultural placement. Look at that liberal holding that cell phone, right? So he's very careful to try to not put any brown people in it, which is incredible to me, because I included that image of the protest because, wow, I don't know where he went to find a protest that large fighting police without a brown face in that entire image. I mean, I was like, did they shoot this in France? But there are English signs in the background. Is this England? Like, I don't know where they went to find such a white crowd of protesters ready to throw down with the police. But they found it. They found only footage like that. So what that tells me is you're not dumb, and you're not unconscious, and you're not blind to the racial connotations of this video. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been so careful to show the absolute minimal amount of brown and black people. There are some at one point in an attack in a police car, very briefly, and even that crowd is predominantly white. So you're thinking that much about race, and you realize that the messaging in this might get you some backlash. Okay, well, there's a really easy way to deflect that. He shows this vision of Americana, right? Of the kind of solid community that he in his response says the song is really about. What do you notice about these images? I know it's blurry. That was because they went with like grainy home movie stock. I couldn't get a better image than this. But yeah, man, everyone he shows enjoying that small town America is white. And then he has a segment where they have what I'm assuming is from a real newscast, where I say, yeah, all the farmers are stopping work today to help out. And, they show this old man who, looks like he's going to cry. And he says, yeah, that's how it is in this town. When somebody needs help, everybody gets together and helps them. It never occurred to you, hey, man, maybe make someone who's not white say that, right? Like, if you really want to communicate that it's not about that, you clearly thought about this, because it's not easy to find images of all white protesters fighting the police in fucking America. Okay, so clearly it was it's not like you weren't even thinking about the race of the people in this video. You clearly were. So why did you choose, and it is a choice, to only have white people if you weren't trying to put out that kind of a message?
Well, worst of all, in my view, is that the location, one of the most prominent locations where you see this American flag draped over the courthouse, was the site of a famous lynching of a black man. Now, look, if you didn't know that, that might be something you want to clarify that you didn't know in your response to the controversy, right? So you either didn't know that and thought it wasn't important enough to make mention of in your response, or you knew that and it was a dog whistle. It was an homage of sorts, right? These music videos are very, very high production things. Jason Aldean's a huge star. There was a lot of money. There were a lot of suits behind that music video. Every famous music video you see has a lot of guys and gals in suits and, whatever, pantsuits, whatever they wear these days at the office. I don't know.
Tracksuits.
Putting money into it, putting planning into it. It's very unlikely they didn't know the history of that site when they picked that. And so this is a fascistic video. It does encourage extreme, violent vigilantism. That is what it's about. That's what the whole "will beat your ass." And first of all, they're not going to beat your ass. They're not going to beat your ass. There were plenty of BLM rallies in small towns, okay? They're not going to do shit, okay? These new country people, I mean, not country people, but country music stars, the big, guys with the guitars and the hats and the microphone that clips around. These are just these chubby, low-T losers, who like to talk about their fucking pickup trucks and all this shit. I'm going to do a radar about this soon, about country music's evolution from real populism to
they have radar
fascistic.
trademarked.
Yeah, right, exactly. A shit post. I'll do a shit post soon about the evolution of country music from this sort of rugged populism into this sort of militant fascistic sort of genre, which a lot of it has turned into. And I still listen to some country music. I'm a big music fan. I listen to everything. But there used to be this grubby sort of salt of the earth quality to a lot of the country music, and I think 9/11 really accelerated this change, right? Because then there just became this strain of real militant country music, and I'm not talking about outlaw country. I know that's its own genre, obviously, but something else. And this is certainly part of it. And one thing that I will make mention of here, because I know this video was pulled off of CMT, and we always give the libs a lot of grief about citing the private company's defense when they defend censorship on social media. In a case like this, the private company defense actually makes sense, because country music television, unlike social media, is not a public square. It's not a public forum, or it doesn't serve as a public square. I do not think this video should be pulled from YouTube or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, right? I think people should be allowed to share it, but that's the point. Sure. People should be allowed to share it if they want. An organization like CMT is well within its rights to say, hey, we curate musical content and we pick which stuff we want to showcase and which stuff we don't want to showcase. They're totally within their rights to say, no, we're not showing this video. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't show this video on our YouTube channel if we had a music-themed YouTube channel. We can't show it now because, aside from any guidelines, content worries that, obviously we can't show a copyrighted music video on our channel. But, I wouldn't show it on my channel. Do I think nobody should be allowed to show it on their channel? No. Right. But this is an issue where that private company defense actually is legitimate. Yeah.
Yeah, it was right on YouTube. It's there in the places that we would consider more public square. It's readily available.
Right.
You can't say, well, MTV has to show any video that anyone releases. Right. That's a ridiculous standard. Couple of other points about. Oh, well, go ahead.
Yeah. We had Ben Shapiro tweet. If you think these lyrics are racist, you're a racist. You apparently think these crimes are exclusively black or some such nonsense, right? Because he talks about if you rob a little old lady in the street or whatever, carjack an old lady at a red light, sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store, you think it's cool, we'll act a fool if you like. That won't fly in a small town, basically. You can't get away with that out here.
Which, again, there was no backlash against the actual song. You have that image of the guy in the liquor store?
Yeah.
Okay, so look, there is coding going on here. I looked very closely, and they were very careful to cast a white actor here. If you look at the hand, it's white. But in the next frame, he punches these guys out and they scramble out the door, right? And look at this guy. He's the salt of the earth, right? He's got the trucker's cap. He's chubby. He's got the beard,
of milk.
Right? So if you really want to make this point, if you want to make sure it's not about race, why'd you cast that guy, man? Why don't you cast an African-American in that, or a Latino or something?
Who's getting held up, right?
Who's getting held up. That you want to make the point that it's not about race. Why you putting the cast of the Dukes of Hazzard in this fucking video if that's not what you're trying to do? And a final point here. Do you have the lyrics? I sent you a screenshot of the lyrics themselves.
Yeah, I got the lyrics. Yeah.
Okay, so, and again, if you've watched our show, we call it down the middle, man. We don't jump on. If anything, certainly I am biased against a lot of the knee-jerk critiques of cultural products that are more conservative. I usually find them baseless. But that's not, in my opinion, it's not because I'm biased. It's because I think they're usually overreacting, or very often I feel like culturally they're actually on the wrong side of the issue.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, look, we don't go. I mean, I don't go. You don't go either. I can speak for you in this. We don't go looking for racism, transphobia, and homophobia everywhere online. We don't go looking for it and looking to categorize everything in that light. That doesn't mean we don't know it when we see it. We do know it when we see it, and we don't like it. Right. And so, like, I don't have a problem calling it out where it actually exists. There's a difference between a sort of knee jerk or not knee jerk, but a sort of
dishonest. I find a lot of the critiques dishonest. They're going out of their way to put the worst possible interpretation on what people say and what they do in ways that are very dishonest and unfair and very out of touch. I mean, look, we just did 2 different segments on the Sound of Freedom thing, and clearly we're on the other side of where, you know, liberals are on that. And we're very critical of, you know, all of these media outlets attacking a movie that at the end of the day is about a very real horror of child trafficking that really exists in the world. So, but hey, look, man, I mean, honest is honest. And yes, there are people who very dishonestly use terms like context to smear people. Hang on, bring it back up.
No, I will.
To smear people in places where clearly they said something innocent, or you really have to distort their intention to say it that way, and then they'll say context. So I understand why a lot of people are allergic to context or claims of context. But when you put these lyrics in the context of the history of vigilantism in small towns, at best, you're so caught up in a white way of understanding the world that you don't understand how this codes. And given what I consider very intentional choices that were made with this video, I'm not inclined to give that benefit of the doubt. And I was saying this when we were talking about it earlier. You know, there's a principle in debate and in philosophy that you should give the person you're debating or the person whose philosophy you're analyzing the most charitable interpretation. And I think I live by that. I do. I don't assume that you mean the worst thing you could possibly mean by what you say right off the bat. I need to see evidence that I should interpret what you're saying that way. That video is pretty strong evidence that a lot of the coding in these lyrics are not really ignorance. But I can't prove that. I don't know that. And he didn't actually write this song. He's one of those people who just perform shit that other people write, like Taylor Swift, actually. But let's take a look at these lyrics.
She writes some of her stuff.
Some of it, but a lot of it she does not. Okay, so try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here, we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't try that in a small town. Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're going to round up. And they leaves it at that, which is kind of interesting. Right. Well, that shit might fly in the city. Good luck. Try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Okay, so look.
Horrible songwriting, by the way. No rhymes.
I mean, that's a whole other subject. But there is a long history of sundown towns where if you are black, you cannot be caught in that town after dark, or you're not going to make it out of that town alive. There's a long history of vigilante justice in towns like that, misdirected and aimed at outsiders, and being an outsider, not always, but usually meant being a person of color. So you're invoking a nostalgia for those images. You have to be very ignorant of the history of what all that means to someone who's not white to write a song like that and think it represents community. Now, benefit of the doubt, that's just ignorance. I can't, after watching that video, give the benefit of the doubt because you clearly coded that video to white people having a nostalgia for a whiter America of the past. And one final point, why don't you motherfuckers ever write songs about how you're going to go down to BP because they poisoned the Gulf and destroyed the livelihoods of a lot of the kinds of people who listen to this kind of music? Why don't I ever hear you writing
I'll go out of order, but this is a super chat. Virtuoso said pretty much the exact same thing. How about a country music song called Black Rock Took My Home for once in a while?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So you want to talk all this, don't try this shit in a small town. I mean, why don't you talk about the bank taking the house of your neighbor? Why aren't you talking exactly about BlackRock? Why aren't you talking about Vanguard? Why aren't you talking like country music and the folk music? That's kind of a related branch. Used to. Woody Guthrie, Fortunate Son. It ain't me. It ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one. Why aren't you writing shit like that? Why is it all about, man, those people in the city causing all that crime? Why don't you write about how these fucking towns, the people who listen to this music often live in, have been decimated by the political establishment, by corporations, by banks? I mean, that's what people like this were writing during the Depression, right? They were writing about that. Why are you writing about this culture war shit? And this is the real, I mean, aside from the fact that we just booked Thomas Frank, this was the reason I really pulled out this book, because this book gets into that. It explains how we wound up with this asshole singing this song instead of Fortunate Son.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I do think there was a significant turn, if not a turn, certainly an escalation in this sort of militant, fascistic, sort of right-wing rhetoric coming out of country music post 9/11. That was when the Red, White, and Blue song came out, the Lynyrd Skynyrd song that came out in 2003. You know, with the, if you don't like it, you can get the hell out. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. And so, you know, I'll do a closer examination. Maybe I'll do a shit post on this. I mean, I will do it. But
I'm looking forward to that. A lot of you don't know this, but Keaton's a musician.
I am a musician and I love music. And so it'll be fun for me to sort of dive into that a bit. And I am definitely looking forward to that. And one final point I want to make before we leave this. A big part of why I personally criticize a lot of identity politics is because this vision, in the end, is much more attractive and much more appealing in its appeal to a kind of nationalism and community than a vision of everybody being split up by their identity markers. That's almost an anti-community vision. Now, the older country had a community vision. It had a vision of the working class versus the bosses, right? Take this job and shove it, right? It had a vision of, it had a unifying vision. It had an us versus them. The left, the closest thing they have to that is a self-defeating vision of us versus half the country, right? Like they're all the bigots, all the people who listen to this, basically. And that is not an appealing vision. And yes, I'm deconstructing this video and this song, but I also recognize how appealing it is. I also recognize how nice it would be to feel like you could swallow this uncritically. I understand why people are attracted to this, especially in a country where they don't have a lot, where all their institutions are falling apart. A song like this encourages them to point their anger at all the wrong people and in all the wrong directions. If the left does not formulate an answer to that, they're going to win, and it's a big part of why they are winning, in my opinion.
Please clap.